Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Tuesday morning. I wanted to post this yesterday, but I didn't get a chance, so here I am today, and I'm going to share with you how I start making one of those bird feeders, or bowls. You can make bowls. Anything I do with the clay, I do with this, but this is waterproof, so the pieces can go outside. So it comes in two parts, part A and part B. When you buy them, they come together. And they say to wear gloves. I don't really, it hasn't bothered me. I would suggest to wear gloves if you have sensitivities. They're two different colors. One's a dark gray and one's a light gray. And what you do is you take two equal parts. So how they say to do that is you scoop out some. I'm going to make a small bowl just because it's easier to work with on camera. And it's very firm, so you got to use a this is my Apoxie Sculpt spoon. I've already ruined a lot because it's so firm that the spoons have bent, but this is a very firm spoon. So, all right, you gotta just eyeball it. First, you roll it into a ball. And you roll this part. This is how you measure. You could use a scale or something too, but this is how I was taught to make the parts. They look about equal. And that's good enough. I've never had a problem with it curing, because after you mix together, they don't do anything. They're just like Play-Doh, well, firm Play-Doh. But once you put them together and blend them, they become a waterproof, very hard, clay-like substance. Now, you have to blend this very well. So I usually have my husband do it, and then I go do something else. But for the video purposes, I'm going to do it. And I just put them together, and I keep working them in any way I can until all the clay is blended together. You can't have any two tones. You have to have the whole thing blended. It takes quite a while. That's why I have my husband do it, because he does it in 10 times faster than I do. So, but I'm going to do it on here, and I'm going to speed this up so you can see how much you have to mix it, and just different ways that I do it. I break it apart sometimes and put it back together. And either way, you have to just make sure that it blends into one color. There can be no streaks, no lines. So the best way to do it is to I just keep taking it apart and putting it together. If you have someone who will do it for you, that's great, because I usually give him my pieces put together. I'll mix them together like this, and then I'll give them to him, and I'll go off and do something else that's more fun. Actually, this can be fun, but I've done it so much it's not as fun anymore. So, but either way, okay, I'll just finish doing this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now I've blended this enough. I don't see any lines. It's all mixed to one color. And I flattened it out a little bit. And I'm just going to use a piece of cardboard. It still sticks a little, but it doesn't stick as much to the cardboard as it does to paper. I've also done it on my desk and on some non-porous surfaces. It sticks a little bit though when you're rolling it out. So I use a little bit of Vaseline on my rolling pin. It helps a little and it doesn't alter the clay at all. You don't even have to use a rolling pin if you don't want. You can just use your hands to keep flattening it out. Now, after these two A and B is mixed, you have about a 2 to 3 hour window to work with this. I don't work with it right away. I let it sit for about 45 minutes to an hour and it gets firmer. If you work with it right away after you mix the two together, it's very droopy and sloppy, kind of. So I let it sit for about 45 minutes. I didn't do that today, but I'm just going to show you what I do before I let it sit. So I spread it out. Oh, there's a hair. Okay. I spread it out, put a little bit of Vaseline on the clay. Oh, sorry. Turn it over just a little tiny bit on the clay. I have some on the roller. And you can use your hands to press it out and make it very smooth. You don't even really have to roll it. I'm just going to show you how I do if I want to. But if there's little cracks in here, you just take your finger and you press hard and you rub it. And it comes to a very nice finish. So I'm going to roll it out to about, see, it's already sticking a little bit. And it's stretching. So that's why I let it sit longer. Either way though, it's the same process if you let it sit longer or not. But right now I've got to fix these. See how easy it is to fix? You just put the sections together. You can overlap them. And then you can smooth them out with your finger. And it disappears like magic almost. Same with the edges. You can just smooth it. See, a little bit stuck there. Anyway, this is just one of the steps. I don't actually put it over my bowl mold until it's firm. So right now I'm just playing with it. I am spreading it out a little, getting rid of some of the flaws. And if I want, I can roll it back up again. Even though the Vaseline is on it, I can still do this again. It does not affect it anyway. So if you make a mistake or if it's too droopy while you start flattening it out, roll it up and start again. It's a very versatile product. It does stick though, so a lot of times it sticks less as you let it sit, but a lot of times I'll just do most of it in my hand. I'll make my circle. I won't use the rolling pin. I do that. It depends. Try out a whole bunch of different ways. Use your hands, use the rolling pin, see what you like. And I will be back later to show you how it looks after I let it sit for about 45 minutes. Okay? Bye-bye. Okay, so now it's sat. I could have let it sit longer, but I didn't. I go around and now I didn't use the rolling pin on this. I've just done this with my hands. I've smoothed it. There's still some nicks here and there, but I can just wipe them away. I'll go along on the edge and I'll smooth. I don't have to make it that smooth because I don't mind the rough edge. I like it if you want it smooth. so there's no nicks on your edge. Then you just make it smoother. You go around and you smooth it like this. You can lay it in your hand and smooth these little nicks. So this is about how thick it is. You can make it thicker or you can make it thinner. If it gets too thin though, it will separate and it'll get too thin in certain parts. And then you'll have, you know, like a part that's almost see-through, and you don't want that. Actually, when it does dry, I've had a bowl or two that have dried like that I've made with a part of it so thin you could almost see through it. And when it dries, it was still hard. It still did not have a hole in it. But you want to have a nice consistency. So, similar to my clay bowl, I take a little dish and I just lay it over it. But in this case, I'm going to make my edges, you know, ripply, like this. So they're like flowery. And you can play with it, and as it dries, it gets firmer. You don't have to put this in the oven at all. And actually, I'm going to move it a little because I didn't center it enough. You don't have to center it though. You can have an offset bowl. And you can just play with your ripples till you like how they look. Oh, I like that right now. This is how it's going to dry. It's perfectly dry in 24 hours and hard, but in about 8 hours this should be done. So I'm totally fine, and I like how this one is coming out. As it dries though, I may come in and alter my little ripples a little bit. I may change them a little or play with them. But basically that's how it's going to dry. And you don't need the oven or anything. Now make sure you wash all your utensils and everything you've used. I mean, everything I use I keep in here. It doesn't go back in the kitchen. But make sure you wash your hands 2 or 3 times. And anything that you use that you're going to be using somewhere else, make sure you wash. And I will be back when this hardens. Okay, bye-bye.